Have you ever had one of those moments that felt like it could change your entire life in a single heartbeat? That was exactly the kind of moment Mia never expected on her first day as an intern at one of the most prestigious companies in the city. Shy, introverted, and often invisible in crowded rooms, Mia had always preferred blending into the background, quietly observing, never daring to be noticed. But today, destiny had other plans. As she walked through the gleaming glass doors of the corporate headquarters, her heart raced uncontrollably, her palms damp with nervous anticipation. Every step toward the lobby felt surreal, as if she were crossing into a world that wasn't meant for someone like her. Her uniform was perfectly pressed, her resume memorized, yet her mind was cluttered with anxious thoughts. What if I make a mistake? What if they notice I'm inexperienced? Mia's first assignment seemed simple enough: assist the HR team with organizing the weekly boardroom lunch. The company's cafeteria was buzzing with energy, and the aroma of gourmet dishes filled the air, making her stomach churn nervously. She walked carefully, clutching a tray, scanning for the table she had been instructed to place the food at. The instructions were clear, or so she thought, but the room was more complicated than she anticipated. There were long tables filled with executives, managers, and senior staff, all engrossed in serious discussions. The noise, the laughter, the commanding voices of people who seemed untouchable, all of it made her feel both invisible and hyper-aware at the same time. Her hands shook as she maneuvered her way past polished wooden chairs and sparkling cutlery, praying she wouldn't trip or spill anything. Then, it happened. As fate would have it, a familiar voice called out, and Mia, flustered and distracted, turned toward the sound and inadvertently stepped into a space at the head of a long, majestic table, the CEO's table. Her heart skipped a beat when she realized where she was. The CEO, Mr. Jonathan Reynolds, was a figure whose reputation preceded him. Charismatic, intimidating, and widely respected, he had the kind of presence that made everyone around him feel both inspired and small. Mia froze in place, her cheeks flushing bright red, her tray trembling in her hands. She wanted to apologize, to vanish into thin air, but something prevented her from moving, perhaps curiosity, perhaps sheer disbelief. Jonathan, ever observant yet surprisingly perceptive, noticed the young intern frozen at his table. Instead of scolding her, he smiled gently, a twinkle of amusement in his eyes. "Go ahead, sit," he said warmly, gesturing to the empty chair next to him. Mia's mind screamed in panic. Sit. Here. Me. At the CEO's table. Her instinct screamed to flee, yet her feet betrayed her, moving as if on their own. She lowered herself into the chair, every muscle tense, every thought racing. Around her, other executives glanced up, some curious, others mildly amused. But Mia barely noticed them. Her focus was entirely on Jonathan, whose calm demeanor seemed to radiate a reassuring energy she hadn't expected. As the lunch began, Mia found herself struggling to breathe normally. The conversation around her was lively, filled with discussions about upcoming projects, market strategies, and innovative ideas. Each word seemed like a lesson, a window into a world she had only dreamed of being part of. Surprisingly, Jonathan engaged her in the discussion, asking questions about her observations during her first week, her opinions on the company culture, and even her thoughts on how interns could contribute in meaningful ways. Mia, initially stammering and unsure, slowly found her voice. Her words were tentative at first, but with every nod of encouragement from Jonathan, her confidence grew. She realized that he wasn't just the CEO of a company, he was someone who genuinely valued perspectives, no matter how inexperienced they might seem. The lunch continued, and Mia's anxiety gradually melted into a strange mix of awe and excitement. She noticed small details, the way Jonathan listened attentively, the subtle humor he used to lighten the mood, the respect he showed to every person at the table. Each glance, each word, each smile built an unspoken connection that made Mia feel seen in a way she had never experienced before. By the end of the meal, what began as a moment of sheer panic had transformed into an unforgettable experience of validation and possibility. She realized that this accidental seating at the CEO's table might not have been an accident at all. Perhaps, somehow, this moment was meant to happen, to push her beyond the boundaries of her comfort, to challenge her self-doubt, and to ignite a spark she hadn't known existed. As Mia left the table, her heart still racing but filled with newfound courage, she couldn't help but replay every detail in her mind. The world suddenly seemed larger, brighter, full of opportunities she had never dared to imagine. And as she returned to her desk, she made a silent promise to herself: she wouldn't waste this chance. She would show that even a shy intern could make an impact if given the chance to step into the light. And for everyone watching this story unfold, can you imagine being in her shoes? That one unexpected moment could change everything. If you're inspired by Mia's courage and want to see what happens next, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, because the next chapter is going to blow your mind. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Mia couldn't shake the feeling that her life had just taken a dramatic turn. The memory of sitting at the CEO's table, the warmth of Jonathan's encouragement, the way her thoughts had been valued, kept replaying in her mind. She returned to her desk with a strange mix of excitement and nervousness, unsure whether her moment at the table had been a fluke or the start of something bigger. Her coworkers noticed a change in her demeanor. The shy, quiet intern who had arrived timidly each morning now walked with a subtle confidence, her eyes reflecting a determination that hadn't been there before. Even her supervisor, Ms. Patel, gave her a knowing smile, as if she could sense that something extraordinary had just occurred. The days that followed were a whirlwind of learning and self-discovery. Jonathan, true to his word, began to take a personal interest in Mia's growth. He invited her to shadow him in meetings, introduced her to key leaders in the company, and even encouraged her to present ideas during brainstorming sessions. Every opportunity terrified her at first. Her hands would shake, her voice would falter, but she began to find her footing. Each challenge she faced became a small victory, each acknowledgement from Jonathan a reminder that she belonged in a world she had once thought was out of reach. It wasn't just about professional growth, it was about transforming the self-doubt that had haunted her for years into a quiet, unshakable confidence. One afternoon, Mia found herself standing in the center of the innovation room, facing a group of senior executives, presenting a project she had poured her heart into. Her idea, a creative strategy to engage younger clients through social media storytelling, was born from her own experiences and observations. As she spoke, she felt a rhythm in her words, a flow that surprised even her. The executives listened attentively, nodding, asking questions, probing deeper, and when she responded, she realized her nervousness had transformed into passion. Jonathan, sitting at the head of the table, smiled approvingly, a subtle gesture that made her heart soar. By the end of the meeting, her proposal was not only approved but praised as one of the most insightful contributions from the intern team. The news spread quickly. Colleagues congratulated her, some in awe, others in disbelief. Mia, the shy intern who had barely spoken to anyone beyond polite greetings, had become someone whose opinions were sought and respected. But with recognition came new challenges. Suddenly, her mistakes carried more weight, and the pressure to maintain her performance was immense. There were nights she stayed awake, replaying presentations, wondering if she had said enough, if she had said it right. Yet every time doubt crept in, she recalled that fateful lunch at the CEO's table, the moment she had dared to step out of her comfort zone. It reminded her that courage wasn't about being fearless, it was about taking action despite fear.